All right, so sorry about that, guys, but we are back in, and I'm sorry about the little bit of technical difficulty we had there. So, for those of you who were on the other stream and just joining back, thank you for sticking with us. Those of you who were waiting on this stream, we got it all worked out now. Hopefully, you should be able to hear us and see us, and we can go through real quick what you guys missed. Basically, we went through the city jerseys. I think Phoenix has nicest ones. Faz, which one was your favorite?
I said the Hornets Buzz City jerseys or the Memphis ones. I think they're classics. I think the City Edition jerseys this year in general have been fantastic.
Woods, what about you?
So I went with the Sixers. Me being a Philly sports fanatic, I thought that their jersey really stuck with what I think their organization was representing. But again, I'm just going to say I love the design on it. But again, a lot of these teams are going retro. And one of the things that I liked looking at the Clippers jersey was very nostalgic to like the GTA games, and I loved it. So it's also one of my favorite ones right there. So a little throwback to GTA San Andreas for all you GTA fans out there.
My favorite was the Phoenix Suns ones in the Valley. And if you guys wanted us to talk about that more, just put it in the comments and we'll come back to it. But I want to continue with our Russell Westbrook discussion. And guys, if you can just summarize what we were talking about before we had to end the stream, just I guess.
Yeah, definitely. So basically, what before the technical difficulties we were discussing, two things primarily. First of all, what team's going to take a flyer on Russell Westbrook's contract? Because no matter how talented he is, he's making $45 million a year. That's a heavy contract. The other discussion we were having was if Russell Westbrook is still a high-level NBA player. I mean, he has a big salary. His stats-wise, I think he's playing very well. But is he still a first or second option on a championship team? I'll let Woods take over what he was saying in a second. But basically, I was saying because of those external factors, because he's not quite what he used to be, because of the fat contract that Russell Westbrook has, he still has $130-something million left on that contract. I think there's only a very small handful of teams that are going to go after him. I think the Clippers, the Knicks, the Hornets we've seen tossed around, Miami, and maybe if there was one other team on that list. But I think those are the only teams that would really ever consider making Detroit. Detroit's another one too. Yes. Those are, I think, the five teams that I think would make a move on Westbrook. And the reason I say that is because for different reasons, I think all of those teams are desperate. The Clippers, I think, arguably more than any other team, they're two superstar players going into contract years. They desperately need a point guard. So what I was saying before the stream cut out was, what do you value more? Do you value the three-headed monster that you could have with Westbrook, George, and Leonard and a point guard? Or do you value the depth that you've built so long over the years with this team that has made the Clippers a staple? And then before we move on to Ryan, the Knicks, I think, are another team that's just extremely desperate for talent. The team desperately needs talent. So
just talent?
Well, they need a lot more than talent, but
they're going to need a lot more than that.
they need an overhaul. But the team is so desperate for anything that closely resembles, I think, recognition again, because the team has just fallen flat on their face. And is Russell Westbrook the answer to that? I don't know.
No.
So it goes into my point there, Faz. Like, are all these organizations willing to pay the $132.5 million he is still owed in his contract over the rest of his 3 years? I don't think that's possible. And a lot of these teams, as I was saying before we went off air real quick, was they could be spending all this money on younger players that are more willing to have more playing time and could fill in the voids and possibly make a name for themselves as well. But again, with the Knicks, they're looking for people to fill the stands. Would Westbrook be able to fill the stands for them? But at the same time, you got to remember, they could be looking for more talent at the same time. So why spend all that money on one player when you could be filling your bench with younger, more able players and ones that are not going to be that expensive? Like, geez, like Westbrook's got a fat contract, and that contract's not going anywhere anytime soon.
The New York Knicks going after a ex-high-level fat contract player with knee injuries? Nah, never, never heard of them doing that before.
And he's 32 years old, and his birthday's today too. So, and again,
let's think: Derrick Rose, Joakim Noah, Stephon Marbury, Tracy McGrady, Amari Stoudemire. They have a history of doing this. It's not out of the realm of possibility for the Knicks. It's not like they've never taken a flyer on a guy like Russell Westbrook before. So,
I mean, you think you would learn from your past mistakes too. With that,
right, we're talking about the Knicks here. We're not talking about
the Knicks.
A logical team here. My pick, though, I will say this: I think it's the Clippers and the Knicks, just because I think those are the only two teams I would even consider taking a fly on him.
How about this scenario? Golden State. Golden State takes him.
I've
heard people say.
Hold on. Here, I want to hear him out. Who does Golden State give up?
So I would actually say the fact that Golden State could use another player to revive their dynasty. Their team's gone down because of all those injuries. Imagine having Curry, Thompson, and Green with Westbrook. Imagine that setup.
Whoa. But who do they? Are you talking like an Andrew Wiggins, a bunch of young players, and some draft picks compensation for Westbrook?
I would think that because I mean it could go either way. They could give up one player, but I would like to see if they do end up going to Golden State, those four players playing together. That would be an interesting setup for Golden State. It might revive their dynasty that's kind of hit a bump in the road over the past 2 years.
Woods thinking big with the Golden State Warriors. Sean, I think you told me your team before the show. You are thinking the polar opposite of X Dynasty borderline being revived with 4 Hall of Famers.
I am, and where I'm going is as usual. I got a hot take here, I guess. Is I think they're gonna trade him to Charlotte because what's gonna happen is that you say the Knicks, right? And the reasons you say the Knicks are similar to the reasons I say the Hornets, where they want fans in. They haven't had a really good player since Kemba Walker. Even when he was there, they were a consistent 9 seed. And even with and without him, they were a 9 seed. So what I think is going to happen is Westbrook gets traded to Charlotte, who's going to have the most cap, I believe, in the NBA next year. They have a lot of young pieces they can trade. And what I think is going to happen is that he's going to average a triple-double at 33 years old or 32 years old, and they're going to miss the playoffs. They're going to be the 9 seed again. It's like the same thing that would happen if he went to New York, but the Knicks can't get anything done, so I don't trust the heel. I go to the Knicks. How many times have we said free agents are going to go to the Knicks over the last 3 years?
A lot.
None of them have. None of them.
But you said the Hornets have a lot of cap space coming up. So are you picturing more than Westbrook going to Charlotte?
I don't know. I don't have confidence in Charlotte figuring it out. I guess that's a question for down the road. But I think Westbrook's going to benefit from being the only star on his team again. I know he wants to probably win, but he's at his best when he's the guy. You know what I mean? He's the best. Like, he was the best in OKC when he was the guy.
Before we move on from Westbrook, I just want to ask this really quickly. I forgot to bring it up in when we were setting up the show, but I saw a really interesting argument on Twitter. Is Russell Westbrook still a top 15 player, or no? Was it 20? Is Russell Westbrook still a top 15 or 20 player in the NBA?
Well,
and I'll add one question further. What's his, maybe not rank, but like what's his legacy going to be when he's done? Is he going to go down as an all-time great, or just another? Or is he going to go down as another? Wow, that guy was really good when I watched him.
Well, I mean, he's definitely Hall of Fame material. There's no doubt about it. But at the same time, like, I think he's just going to go down as one of those greats. He's not going to be another Michael Jordan or another Larry Bird. None of those. But he's going to be remembered for his legacy he's built over the course of his career here in the NBA. But is he going to be a great? He's not going to be a great like Kobe, LeBron James, or Larry Bird. But he'll be recognized for what he's done over the course of his career.
I think another reason to ask that question is he's definitely that borderline 20 spot, the 15 to 20 spot for me. So, okay, let me ask you a question on top of your question. Is he still in Houston, or am I saying like he's on the Knicks or the Hornets here? Because I think that has a lot to do with it for me to answer that question.
Right now.
Is he still on Houston? No, I don't put him in the top 20. I don't.
I agree
If
with
he's
that.
on Charlotte or the Knicks, yeah, I put him in the top 20.
Because you think he revitalizes himself being
A
the
little bit.
lone wolf on whatever team he's on.
He is getting into his 30s now, and his game requires a lot of athleticism. So at some point, it's going to catch up to him. And Eddie said it earlier in the stream where it was Russ still can't shoot threes, and this is going to come to bite him at the tail end of his career. So I don't know how much time he has left being as explosive as he is, but it's also his Russell Westbrook we're talking about. So I would say he at least has 1 or 2 more good years left. Like I said, if he's in the Rockets, not a top 20 player. If he's on the Knicks or the Hornets, yes, I put him in the top 20.
This is like a hard conversation for me, because I don't even know if I've ever said this before. He's one of my 3 favorite players of all time. I love watching him. I think the personality is a little much for me. I think he's a hard player to play with. But just in terms of like I'm sitting back on the couch, I'm turning on a basketball game, there's almost nobody I'd rather watch than Russell Westbrook. Because especially when he was in OKC, I mean, the dude's just got energy and charisma and stamina and explosiveness. Like, honestly, like almost like I've never seen before. I mean, he has like just, I don't want to call it a mama mentality, but he has like an Energizer Bunny personality where he's relentless. That's what Russell Westbrook is. And growing up, he's been one of my 2 or 3 favorite players to watch of all time. So I hope he goes to a team that he can kind of revitalize himself a little bit and, remind the world who Russell Westbrook is.
And that's definitely one of the reasons he's leaving Houston. He wants out of there as quick as he can. He doesn't feel like he's making a name for himself there.
I don't think he wanted to even go there in the first place.
No, he was just traded, and he had probably no say in it. So he wants out now, and he's realizing that I think a lot of other teams can fill the gap for him. But we'll see what ends up happening. It's going to be very interesting to see what he decides over the next couple of, I would say, weeks, maybe even months, depending on what happens with him. But again, the key thing he has to do is stay healthy if he wants to continue his career. So we'll see what ends up happening there. I hope that he stays healthy and is able to make a name for himself with another team.
And, we'll also keep an eye on, maybe even talk about it next week, what happens with his counterpart, James Harden. Because he's kind of a fire sale right now. I think it's what's going to happen.
We'll say that for next week, because I have a very weird feeling that this weekend there's going to be some James Harden news coming out.
Well, as of right now, he says that he wants to stay with Houston. That's what I've read.
Right.
But we'll see what ends up happening.
I think he's going to be
I don't know if I think it depends. Honestly, I think Westbrook gets traded before the season, and I think him saying that depends on what they get back for Westbrook. If he's getting back a bag of chips from the Knicks for Westbrook, maybe not. But if he's getting back, let's say they trade him to the Clippers, you're getting back guys who they gave up Chris Paul for. Realistically, if the trade happens with the Clippers, you're getting back Montrezl Harrell, you're getting back Patrick Beverley. You're probably getting like a Marcus Morris probably Zubac, maybe Lou Williams. There's going to be a lot of depth involved in that trade, but the Rockets are getting back almost certainly at least some of the guys who they gave up for Chris Paul back a couple of years ago. So if that trade works out, maybe Harden kind of runs it back with the old team from 2015. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
You think they got playoff potential?
I'm sorry?
You think they got playoff potential?
Without Westbrook?
Without Westbrook?
I mean,
yes.
The West is the West is tough. I don't think they are what they have been. I think the Rockets, I'll put it this way: it depends on the trade, but with whatever the trade ends up being, I think with James Harden, you're at least a playoff team.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. So go through, pick one team who we think Russell's going. I'm going with the Hornets. Faz, one team.
I'm so torn between the Knicks and the Clippers, but I just think the Clippers are in a desperation mode.
Don't pick the Knicks. Don't pick the Knicks.
I think it's the most realistic one, but I'm going to go with the Clippers.
And I'm going to go with Golden State. As I said earlier, it just depends. I'm going out there. It just depends on what they end up doing if they decide to even keep the team they got now and revive the dynasty, or they're going to trade away some draft picks and maybe some low totem pole members there. So
I have one dark horse team. A friend just texted me. 76ers for Ben Simmons.
Sixers?
I think that's the Harden trade. I think Harden's more of a Sixer than Westbrook ever will be.
I agree. I'm just, putting out there what the fans are giving me.
I put up a poll for the GOAT Talk too, and we have 60% said the Clippers, 20% said the Knicks, 20% said the Hornets, and no one picked the Wizards, which was another team that possibly linked.
Interesting.
So, the fans think the Clippers.
We shall see.
Yeah, we shall see. So moving on from basketball, let's get into a little bit of football. We got a little bit on the shorter side this week for the episode, but we got some news about the Ravens this week, and Lamar Jackson saying that the defenses are calling the plays back to him. It was kind of a shot at his coaches. So I'll let you two tackle this first. But what's going on in Baltimore, and are you concerned?
So first off, Dez Bryant is on the Baltimore Ravens. He was called up last week, so we'll see what ends up happening with him as we go forward. But when I saw he sat down and did an interview, I think with ESPN earlier this week or today, and he was like, "Oh, they're calling out my plays. They know everything." And when they go into the halftime, they're saying like, "Well, we need to reinvent our plays and everything." So it's interesting to see how the Ravens have really digressed this season. They're having a lot of trouble, I believe, at home. They're 2-2 at home. They're 4-0 on the road, which is good, but they're having a lot of problems at home. Lamar Jackson is struggling this year. He's not getting as much yards as he would like. But then on top of it, they're also not doing as well when it comes to managing their offense as we know. But we'll see what ends up happening as the season progresses. They're having struggles when they're down a lot and going into the half. So again, we'll see. It's interesting to see what's going on though with the new information we're getting from the Ravens offense this week.
I'll say this. I think, first of all, that team's had a couple injuries here and there. So they're not necessarily the healthiest team in the NFL, but I saw a meme on Twitter, summarized it absolutely perfectly. It was like a quote from Lamar Jackson, like, "No team can ever figure out our offense." And then it said the Ravens offense, and it was like the four main Madden plays that they give you, like, handoff. It was like four verts, slants, handoff, and like one of them was QB sneak or something. That sums it up perfectly. I think a lot of teams figured out, not necessarily the Ravens offense, figured out Lamar Jackson. They cracked the code on Lamar Jackson. And by no means does that mean Lamar Jackson's a bad player, because I think he's incredibly talented. But defenses are starting to figure out how his play style. So I think more than anything else, it falls on Lamar to fix this. And listen, Dez Bryant's not what Dez Bryant used to be by all means, but
no.
He's another talented receiver on, I think, what's a very talented offense with a fantastic coach on a really great team with championship aspirations. This is on Lamar Jackson, and it's hard to say that, but he has to learn to adapt more. And this was something that was coming up a lot last season. Yes, he was the MVP. Yes, he had a great season. But dating back all the way to last season, I know Sean and I said it on the show. I know I've heard other sports analysts say this. Lamar Jackson has to learn to evolve his game, learn to throw the ball more, and learn to be more accurate and trust his teammates more. Lamar still has that I need to run around all over the place mindset.
Yep.
That worked last year, and I think it worked really well for him. He won the MVP. Baltimore was one of the best teams in the league. Teams figured that out. And I don't think that if it's not lasting through this season, it's not going to carry him for the rest of his career. So I know I'm thinking ahead a little bit, but it's really on Lamar Jackson to figure this out. And part of it's coaching because, it goes both ways with play calling. But Lamar Jackson has to be the one to figure out how to adapt his play style, how to make adjustments on the fly. So that way, if there is a play call that the coach calls that he has the vision of that not working out, he doesn't just roll with it anyway because it's the play call. I need to see a Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers type mindset where on the fly in the middle of a play, you can just adjust and make something happen. And Lamar's a great player, but I don't know if he has it in him yet. And I think the rest of the season is going to be a real test for him. And whether that test works out or not, I think he's going to be in for a rude wake-up call.
I think, you both kind of talked about it, but This is the next step in Lamar Jackson's journey to the Hall of Fame. I'll say it that way. He answered the question of he's not a running back, he's not a receiver, he is a quarterback, and he belongs at that position. He's answered that question. Now, can he be like the Peyton Mannings, like the Tom Brady's, who have that pre-snap knowledge to read defenses? Because guess what? If defense is reading your offense, that's where you call audibles and stuff like that. And, Faz, you said that he needs to throw the ball more. I don't necessarily agree with that. And you say more trust in his teammates. He's a really good teammate. He is. If you ever watch him,
I agree.
If someone gets knocked down, he is always picking them up. I've never seen a quarterback do it more than he does.
And I do have to say this. Go ahead.
I said his teammates trust him. The coaches trust him. Now that coach trust is a little bit shaky. But guess what? It's not like you have Rex Ryan back there calling the plays. You have John Harbaugh calling the plays, who's had success for so many years. And listen, it's not going to come as easy as it did last year. You're right. It's not. The longer you're in this league, the more you're able to be coached against, because the more film you give these coaches to study you, right? John Harbaugh doesn't win every year. Like, there's going to be struggles that season, and there's still time. It's not like this team's out. So I'm completely not, throwing the flag in on this team or concerned at all. I just think it's a little bit of young quarterback trust issues. Something they'll be able to fix out by the end of the season, I think.
I think we have trust issues.
Me and you?
I didn't like that little jab at the Jets you threw in there. Where it's not like it's Rex Ryan throwing play calls back there. What was that for, man?
I was actually thinking about him days on the Bills, but
sure.
See, you bring the Giants nonsense into this. Ryan is
the Jets.
The Jets nonsense into this. Woods is sitting right there, and he can vouch for me. Did you think I was taking a shot at the Jets there?
No, not at all.
See, Faz is just trying to start drama.
You said Rex Ryan on a show where every single week you find a way to bash the Jets. What am I supposed to think? Oh, he's talking about the Buffalo Bills.
Well, I'm sorry. I think of bad coaches and immediately think of every Jets coach I've ever saw in my life.
You know Giants too sometimes, but I know you're a Giants fan.
Just don't get me started on the Jets. You want to talk about a team that you throw the towel in and you give up on? I gave up on week 1.
I still haven't given up.
I should have included in the topics this week how bad the Jets are and how they're the worst team the NFL has ever seen.
You know what? Next week, to everybody watching right now, next week, we're going to debate the New York Jets.
It's not going to be
Friendships will be ruined.
Wednesday next week at 8 with Ben DeVito, we will debate the Jets.
Wait, Zach.
Doing this.
Here's it. So Giants Eagles this weekend. What do you think on that one?
Come on, it's an NFC East game. Do you have a quarter?
It sucks. It sucks. I know.
It's about as reliable as the head toss on who you're going to pick to win. Who's at home?
It's a good question. Let me look.
Listen, because if you want to do a quick little...
Does it matter? Does it matter how it was? Going to be 30 fans in the crowd anyway? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, if you want to talk about this, NFC East is like a coin flip for like most teams. And
I'll put it to you this way.
Giants have been playing a little bit better last couple weeks.
Listen, all I'm going to say is the pandemic hasn't had much of an impact on how many fans are in the stands for either team. I'll put it to you that way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's different without fans in the stands. You really miss that energy, and hopefully at some point when all this gets figured out, we'll be back to some sort of normal. But it's interesting to see how they're managing, and it's kind of funny. Also, I was reading a Baltimore Raven got COVID, but he's on the practice squad, so it hasn't been no major impacts to the team.
Oh, good.
Yep, but we'll see what ends up happening this weekend.
We got a comment saying the Eagles are the best team in the East. NFC East. Is that what you mean?
I hope the NFC East.
Yes, the NFC East. It better be the NFC East.
No team in the NFC East is good. Those words should not go together with each other.
No,
I think we all four fan bases can agree that none of those teams are good. None of them.
I would say the Eagles are the best of the worst.
Yeah, I think that's.
I would have to agree.
I feel like you can't even word it the best team in the NFC East.
You can't even.
You have to say like what you said, the best of the worst. I think it's the only way to word it.
I would say the top team, the top team on the NFC East. That's what I think it should be named. Top team and maybe the top worst team in the NFL. So
The
we'll
Eagles-
see what ends up happening.
I'll word it this way: the Eagles do not have the lowest record in the division.
No, they don't, and
They don't.
that's the reason they're in first
Think it
place
that way.
or in first place contention. But yeah, the NFC East this year just absolutely sucks, and I just love seeing Dallas Cowboys fans saying, "Oh, it's our year." It's anyone's year in the NFC East right now. So we'll see what ends up happening between the NFC East Giants and the NFC East Eagles this week, and go from there. Hopefully, the
Yep.
Eagles take the W though. There.
So I'll be rooting for the Giants, but let's get into that. Thursday night football tonight. Colts at the Titans. Titans are up 7-0, 9 minutes and 42 seconds left in that first quarter, guys. I know the game already started, but quickly, who do you got for that game?
Titans.
Titans. They're on
I will
quite
also
a bit of a losing
second
streak
that.
there. The Titans are. I don't know. This one's a tough one for me because Thursday
I
night
gotta go with
football. I
Titans.
hate betting on Thursday night games. First of all,
Woods, who you got?
I'll also go with the Titans. I know they're on a losing streak, but definitely I think are doing a lot better than I expected going against the Colts. So I'll go with the Titans.
I think I'm gonna go be boring and go Titans as well here. As good as the Colts defense is, and as much as I think they're going to be able to stop Derrick Henry early in this game, I don't know if he scored that early touchdown or not. But what we've seen with Derrick Henry is that he starts slow and finishes strong because people coming up to tackle him, they're motivated in that first half. By the time you get to the second half, they are not looking forward to tackling someone like Derrick Henry. So I think Titans win, get back on their feet. Colts defense, I think, again, plays a good game, holds Henry for most of the game, but second half he's gonna, start popping up like he always seems to do that in the second half, where he gets most of his yardage and most of his touchdowns, and he always gets that big explosive run. So we'll see what happens in that Thursday night game. We do have a little bit of extra time, and since we kind of had those difficulties, I know we've already talked about it twice now, but I want to circle back to the jerseys, just for all the new viewers in chat, so they can hear what we were talking about with the city jerseys. Is that cool with you guys?
Yeah,
good.
I'm good with that.
Okay, so you can repeat what we said last time, but guys, what do we think about the city jerseys? Which one's your favorites?
I'm just going to say an overall thing. These are the best city editions the NBA has ever done, I think. And I mean, that's it. I love what they've done. I know I'm going to probably buy or ask Santa for some for Christmas. I love the jerseys. I love the ones with the retro vibes, like the Spurs, the Grizzlies. They went with like the 90s, 2000s vibe. I think the Hornets did something really cool and new and fresh. I know the Lakers went way back to the Jerry West era, so we're seeing a lot of different eras of basketball in these jerseys. Some of them are rocking some new styles that we've never seen before that might be staples for the future. Some of them are doing some throwbacks, but I think overall it's going to add to the viewing experience of the NBA this year, because I love watching games with cool jerseys. Like, I also know that this doesn't really have to do with the city editions, but the Mavericks are going back to their green court for this season from the 90s too. So I don't know if there's just a whole retro overhaul going on this season, but I rock with it and I love it.
It's an interesting take, and personally, I'm not a big fan of the retro and the modern era. I've never liked it, but like, these jerseys are clean. These jerseys are some of the best city jerseys I've seen in a long time. But at the same time, I like seeing what a lot of these teams that did not do the more retro look and went more of like a modern, slick type thing. And one of the teams that I did like are the Sixers. And I'll say it again, Sixers did a great job with theirs. But again, the retro jerseys do fit. I like how they're going back. Personally, I'm not a big fan, but that's a hard take right there. But they did a good job. Graphic designers did a great job. And it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to be wearing this season. And as more and more teams come out with these, I'm interested to see what they're going to do.
I think Faz put it best. This is the best jersey reveal of any kind that we've ever seen in the NBA, I think a lot of these jerseys are really unique and really cool. My favorite ones are the Phoenix Suns, the Valley ones, because they remind me a lot of those Denver Nuggets ones, where they have the rainbow stripe going across. I love the Valley ones, but what I like more as an overall theme with these jerseys is that, the Golden State one has Oakland in it, and then the Trailblazers one has Oregon in it. I thought was cool. And then Atlanta has the MLK ones. As you can see a couple of them slide through in the pictures here on the stream. I wasn't able to get all of them, but there's a good majority of them there. I know Faz like the Hornets ones. They're in there. You can see the Oregon ones up there right now. But the Suns ones I think are really cool. I'm actually really excited to see them wear it. I thought to me they were like an obvious choice for the best ones. Billy has saying Brooklyn regressed. He likes Golden State, Atlanta, and the Oregon one's the best. So the Brooklyn went with those powder blue gradient New Jersey Nets ones, which I'm salty about them going back to the New Jersey Nets, but we don't.
All New Jerseyans are salty.
Yeah. I didn't honestly he has a good point though. I don't think those New Jersey Nets jerseys were the nicest ones they could have chose from.
No, they weren't. They could have done a lot more with that. I feel like, but hey, it's a jersey. That's all that matters to them.
Jersey's jersey. They're gonna make money off it either way.
Yeah. So, all right, that's all we really had for tonight's episode. If you guys want to drop something in chat real quick, you can. Make sure you subscribe to Hawk TV's YouTube, and we'll be back next week, Wednesday at 8 with Ben DeVito from The Extra Point, another show at Hawk TV. So make sure you tune in for that. Again, Wednesday night at 8 p.m. You can get all our updates on our socials. It's the g.o.a.t._talk on Instagram and Twitter. We are on both. We put those polls up on Twitter, so make sure you go and vote for them and then give them a retweet. We like to see you guys vote. You didn't hear before. People agreed that they think Westbrook's going to the Clippers. So we'll see what happens with that next week. We've already spoiled. I guess we're going to do Jets talk, maybe about some James Harden trade talk. But if we're doing Jets talk, I highly recommend you tune in because any loyal Go Talk followers out there know when the Jets come up, that's when emotions get high on this show.
Oh, and I saw that firsthand today. Rex Ryan jab.
You're not saying
that.
This is a sliver. Next week's about to be this. Do you guys have any final comments, shows you want to plug, stuff you want to say? Wear your mask or stuff like that, Mr. President Faz?
Wear your mask. Shout out to my grandparents for the GOAT shirt. This is awesome. I'm wearing this every week.
So I'll finish up. So I just want to shout out the Somerset Patriots, the new AA affiliate for the New York Yankees. One of my favorite teams. I worked for them over the summer. Wasn't able to do that this summer because of COVID, but really looking forward to that. Glad that they're in the new affiliate, and it's going to be interesting to see what ends up happening.
All right. Well,
I do have one last thing really quick. For my Orlando Magic podcast, I'm posting on my Instagram tomorrow. I'm doing an interview with Orlando Magic assistant coach Pat Delaney.
Wow.
Posting it tomorrow.
How did you get
Ask him
that?
if he's going to trade for Westbrook because I heard the Magic want him too.
I was told I'm not allowed to ask about any management moves possibly, but I might drop the hint tomorrow. I might try to, I might put out there to trade the roster for Harden or something. I don't know. Who knows?
Make sure you go check that out, though. That's a really cool interview with the assistant coach of the Orlando Magic over on Faz. You want to plug the social?
Nice grab. Wow.
I will plug the social for it right now. You could go onto Apple Podcasts and look up Believe in Orlando Magic. You'll see my name right up there with the Magic logo.
Perfect. All right, Woods, you got
Sounds
anything
good.
else? Are you good?
Not. It's great to be here tonight. Hopefully I'll get on at some other point during the semester and the school year. Thanks again for having me. Be sure to follow my Twitter at Woodsy1026. Hopefully you have that link down below, my friend. But yeah, looking forward to doing some possible sports broadcasts over the next couple of months. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Hopefully, I haven't been down there at Monmouth a lot. I'm commuting this semester, so hopefully as things get a little bit better, I'll be down there a little bit more. But until then, be sure to follow me on the Twitter, and see you guys at some other point.
All right. We will see you guys next week. Hope everyone has a safe week. Later, guys.